I just started reading a book by theologian Richard Rohr. And in the prologue, he says that throughout the book, there are sentences that are set off from the paragraphs. They're italicized and there is space before and after them. He urges the reader to engage in contemplative reading, to sit with the sentence and read it again, to linger on it, to contemplate it. And wow, today's gospel, the Beatitudes, 9 blessed R's, 9 of them. Each one of them could be set off, italicized, and pondered. But which one? Before we get to the blessed R's, Matthew tells us when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. That in and of itself is not unusual. For Jewish and Christian cultures, mountains represent closeness to God who dwells in the heavens and the sky. So in Scripture, God often reveals himself on a mountaintop. And if we look back toward the responsorial psalm, the first verse is, I lift up my eyes toward the mountains, from whence shall come my help. My help shall come from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. I sat with that for a while. I thought of the mountains I've seen, big and small. I thought of experiencing God in nature and crying out to God for help. I thought of how much easier it is to feel close to God when I escape the crowd and I'm alone in the middle of creation. But that's not what's happening here. Jesus went up the mountain, but he wasn't alone. After he sat down, his disciples came to him. The disciples go up the mountain, and Jesus began to teach them. And so now, I move on to the teaching that Jesus God is revealing. I chose, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. A podcast that I enjoy asked, would we think of the poor, the meek, the merciful, the peacemakers, and those who are unjustly persecuted as blessed? Now, consider a world populated by those who are passionate about justice and right, people who are pure, meek, and merciful. Can you imagine what such a world would be like? It was in that imagining that I found my prayer. Jesus went up to the mountain, but after he had sat down, his disciples came to him. But the disciples don't get to just listen and meditate. They have to leave the mountain. They have to live out the teaching. Last week, Linda wove the song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, into her reflection, and she made sure to include the last line, the one where the singer doesn't just pray for peace, but also prays to be part of bringing that peace about. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And so I flipped my beatitude around. Instead of praying, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God, I began to pray, I am a child of God. Help me to be a maker of peace.